What is really real? In 1911, Ernest Rutherford, a New Zealander working in England, discovered that atoms have a nuclear structure. Each atom consists of the nucleus, which contains nearly all of the mass of atoms and the entire positive charge, whereas the negatively charged electrons are somehow arranged outside of the nucleus. Rutherford's nuclear atom was a shock because the space taken up by the nucleus is about 10,000 times smaller than the average space taken up by an atom, even though the nucleus contains nearly all of the mass of the atom. This means that atoms don't fill space solidly. Wow! Atoms don't fill space solidly, as the ancient Greek philosophers thought, but they are mostly empty space. To find out what I mean, I just knock your head against the wall of your coffee. Go ahead, don't worry. You are just knocking on empty space. Wow! Actually, that space isn't totally empty. It isn't a vacuum, a void, or nothing. It is filled with potentiality. Wow. Sir Arthur Stanley Eddington, one of the celebrated astrophysicists of the 20th century, gives a wonderful description of the shock caused by the Rutherford atom. The revelation by the modern physics of the void within the atom is more disturbing than the revelation by astronomy of the immense void of the interstellar space. Looking for the descriptive example, he finds it in the solar system. The atom is as porous as the solar system. Porous meaning having many small holes, so having many small holes that allows water or air to pass through slowly. So like a pore, right? Porous as the solar system. And then turning to the human level, he adds, if we eliminated all the unfilled space in a man's body and collected his protons and electrons into one mass, the man would be reduced to a speck just visible with a magnifying glass. Really? Looking for example of our own, if you would pack together all the nuclei of all the atoms on this globe, they would fit into a sphere with a radius of a few tenths of a mile, comparable to the radius of the football stadium and its surrounding packaging and its surrounding parking area. Really? Wow. It is interesting that many languages have several words for what we call reality. In the German language, for example, there are two words, Wirklichkeit and Realität, that both have the meaning of the reality, but they aren't synonymous. Rather, they describe different modes of the being real. The first is derived from the German verb wirken, to have an effect, and the second from the Latin word for things, less. All material things are, of course, real, but non-material entities are also real if they can have an effect in the world. The entities of the realm of the potentiality in the nature are of that kind. They are not things, but forms. Nevertheless, they are real because they have the potential to manifest themselves in the empirical world and to have an effect in it. The entire cosmos is harmony and number. Pythagoras proclaimed the meaning of harmony that rests, as in music, on the ratio of numbers. Think of the vast empire of the electronic gadgets that have changed our life. The cell phones, the computers, the transistors, and the integrated circuit. Without Schrödinger's discovery that electrons in atoms can form standing waves, none of these gadgets could have been developed. Wow. As always, when the theory is technically successful, it whets the appetite for more. It gives rise to expectations that it is more than the mere tool that can put our observation to order, as Niels Bohr described it. When a theory is technically successful, there is a temptation to think that it has something to say about the nature of things. Wow. That is exactly what happened to Schrödinger's wave mechanics. At first, it was a wonderful tool that rationalized the property of the atoms and the molecules. Then, it became a model of reality that led to the view that the basis of the material world is non-material, and reality appears to us in two domains: potentiality and actuality. Wow! Potentiality and actuality. Real world is non-material, and that reality appears to us in the two domains: potentiality and actuality.